last week I said I had 2 apologies for my hand post-surgery and for my back, and now I also have a third, is that I've lost my voice. So bear with me.
We have to replace you, I guess.
Yeah. Don't say it too loud. Don't say it too loud.
So you have to replace because of his voice.
But welcome everyone. We begin in the prayer book. We use the page numbers that are in italics. So the page number is in italics, and we begin on 128, the top of 128, familiar words. Hine ma tovu manai, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manai, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. At the bottom of the page, Esaina el heharim, me'ayin yavo ezri. Esaina el heharim, me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, Ose shamayim v'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai, Ose shamayim v'aretz. Again, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome all. Bev, you're on.
Wow. Oh, yes.
I'm not sure. I think she's about to light the candles, so let's see.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. These are the announcements for this next week. All right. We have Torah study on Saturday, which is
Tomorrow.
yeah, it is.
On Zoom.
I needed that. It is on Zoom only. And we have a group, the Valley Fiber Arts Guild meeting. Apparently they're meeting here. I'm not familiar with them. But the really important is that anyone belonging to the sisterhood, we have a sisterhood meeting on Tuesday. It's at 10 a.m. And we expect you all to be there.
A lot of changes.
A lot of changes, yes. And Men's Club meets on Wednesday, and that must be still at
That's at El Patio.
El Patio, okay. Right.
Okay, that's it. Wow. No, do.
Oh, I'm
Right,
sorry, yes.
yes.
Thank you, that's why I put it down here. All right, anyone who hasn't signed up for the Seder, we still have some forms out front, and you still have time to do that. If we don't have enough forms, I can make copies. So make sure you let me know if there aren't enough forms there. Okay.
Right. The Congregational Seder is Thursday night, April 2nd.
Yep.
Right.
The second night.
And I don't
Second
remember
night.
the
Second.
last day, that they take reservations, but I know it's not
The
today.
March 8th. I think it's March 18th.
18th,
Okay.
March 18th.
Yeah.
Thank you, okay.
But I also.
I read my email.
Good. And
For
you
once.
remember?
No, it's not an actual Seder.
Okay.
It's the Passover Seder, yeah.
I want to announce also.
Yeah, there's a
that
sign up for that, yeah.
We have lots of openings to sponsor Onegs, and there's some openings still for bagel breakfast for this year. So if you want to sponsor something in honor of some special event, we have space for your honor.
Okay, thank you. We'll continue with our ritual to light and bless Shabbat candles. Page 120, again in the brackets, 120.
Doing double duty.
I'm easy.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher tishmor mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehat lifner, shel Shabbat.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Page 127 in the brackets, 127. Responsibly. There are days when we seek changes for ourselves and measure our failures by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand and wonder before the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others.
On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty within our world.
So we embrace the Shabbat as a day of rest, a day of wonder, and a day of peace. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat. May it unite us in faith and in hope. That's you for Shabbat. Thank you for picking up on that. I need you to read as much as possible tonight. 142. 142 in the brackets. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashem, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Malachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bochem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Malachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Malachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzechem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we'll use version 2, service number 2 in the book. It's on page 263 in the brackets, 263. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah v'yamad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayecho b'yomecho u'chayecho beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman karim, imeru, amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach, le'olam elon me'amaya, yitvarach, yitvarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpar, v'yitrama, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, Shmei Kudshav Barichu, ve'elamin kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, tamid ad me'alma, v'imeru, amen. Our call to worship, Baruch Hu, on page 264. I invite you to rise if you are comfortable in doing so. Baruch Hu et Adonai, HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, u'bitvuna meshana itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'msader et ha'kochavim b'mishmerotehem b'rakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla volel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, u'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla, u'ma'avdil bein yom u'vein layla Adonai tzavaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimlo chaleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Continuing responsively to 66 in English. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world.
In each age we are challenged by ancient teaching. At each moment we stand face to face with truth.
In each age we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment the knowing heart is filled with wonder.
In each age the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth.
Baruch ata Adonai, Elohim amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vahed. Please be seated. The words of Deuteronomy, Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam v'shivtecha v'beitecha v'v'lechtecha v'derech v'shachbecha v'kumecha v'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha v'chtatam al mezuzot beitecha v'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim le'yot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Amen. Again, responsively, we worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
In that oneness makes our rest, in perfection we all abound.
Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, of order and goodness.
There's evil enough to break the heart, and there's good enough to exalt the soul.
We ask, when will redemption come?
When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves.
For long ago we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learned from God's presence
kamocha va'elim Adonai, mi kamocha medarva kodesh, nora tehilot, osei felen, nora tehilot, osei felen, malchutecha, ra'u v'necha, bokei hayam, Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'lianu v'yameru, Adonai yimloch, Adonai yimloch, le'olam va'ed. And thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Our Hashkivenu prayer, especially with prayers for peace, a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace over Israel, over Jerusalem, and over indeed all of our people, wherever they may be. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. For you are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth and prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, korei oneg Shabbat. Mekadshei, mekadshei shevi Shabbat. Kulam yispeu ve'itamu mituvecha Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, ve'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, ve'korei oneg Shabbat. Ve'ashvi ratzita bo ve'kidashto Shabbat. Chemdad yamin oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, ve'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, ve'korei oneg Shabbat. Zecher l'maaseh v'reishit Shabbat. Zecher l'maaseh v'reishit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, ve'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat, ve'korei oneg Shabbat. Our tefillah, Amidah Shemona Esrei, begins on page 273 in the brackets. The ark will be open. I invite you to chant along the first several pages in the Hebrew. 273 in the brackets. Adonai Sifatai Tifkach, Ufiani Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Shivarua, Umorina Hashem, Mechaker Chaim Vechesed, Mechaye Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Sohech Noflim Verofech Olim, Umatir Asrim, Umkaye Bemunato, Vishene Afar, Mikamocha Pagurot, Unidor Melech, Melech Limit, Umechaye, Umatzliach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah Hayot Hako, Arot Atah Adonai, B'chaye Yaakov. Atah Kadosh, V'shimcha Kadosh, U'kdoshim B'kol Yom Yalalucha Selah. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu HaKadosh. We continue silently, privately, through page 285, through 285 in the brackets. You may be seated if you choose. Yaseh shalom bimrama, Hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimrama, Hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu, Ya'akol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Our custom is that we pause at this moment in our worship. We offer a Misha Berach, a prayer of healing and wholeness, of refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, renewal of body and spirit, of recreation, and of recognition of our humanity and our mortality. Our thoughts turn to those who are ill, those who are alone, those who are suffering and in pain, those who have been victimized, those who have been wounded, injured on the battlefield or in times of battle. All those who are suffering and in need of our prayer and support. We ask for God to grant them refuah shalema, complete and whole recovery. Before we join on page 371, in the brackets, 371 in the middle of the page, before we join in singing Debbie Friedman's interpretation of the traditional prayer, as my eyes come through the sanctuary, if there are those whose names you wish to mention, that we include them in our prayers and support with you. May they truly be blessed with refuah, with healing, and with shlemut, with wholeness and with peace. We ask that you only mention a first name or a Hebrew name.
Dennis.
Nadav,
Greg.
Lenny, Norm.
Deborah, and Susan.
In the middle of the page. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And our thoughts, our concern, our prayers turn to the state of Israel and her neighbors. In a time of conflict, a time of battle, a time of uncertainty, a time of threat under which they live. Our thoughts, our prayers, our gestures of support are certainly with them. The traditional prayer that we offer is on page 377, 377 in the brackets. Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim Yishlayu Habayich. We pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu Sheva Shamayim Tzur Yisrael V'Goalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael Reshit Smichat Geulatenu, Hagen Aleha Be'avrat Chasdecha Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Orcha V'Amitcha L'Roshea Sareha V'Yoatzeha Umagineha, V'Takneim Ve'etza Tova Milfanecha V'Natata Shalom Ba'aretz, V'Simchat Olam Liyoshveha V'Nomar Amen. Join with me. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. We say Amen. And we add a prayer as well for the courage, the tenacity, and the victory of those who protect and those who serve in the Haganah, in Tzva Haganah Yisrael, defense forces of the state of Israel, as well as the forces of our own country and our allies who are assisting in her protection. When we were together on Monday evening, I also shared the words of this prayer. It's entitled A Prayer for Those Who Are Sitting in Their Safe Rooms. Ribono Shel Olam, Master of all worlds, you live in the heavens and yet are close to those on the land. Be with us now in this time of fear and this time of hope. Strengthen the spirit of all who are huddled in their safe rooms, children and adults. Fill their hearts with patience and the ability to endure. Preserve the free human spirit even at this time. We quote the psalm, I cried out to God from the narrow place, and I was answered from the expanse. Help us find an expanse of heart and faith, even in this time of terror and stress. May we fulfill the verse, each person under their vine and fig tree, without being troubled or afraid. Restore our security and tranquility in our homes and in our land forever. Spread your sukkah of shalom over us. Spread your shield of security and protection over us. Even as there are thundering sounds around us, may there be shalom in your homes and tranquility in your houses, said the psalmist. Take care of those protecting us on land or sea. Strengthen our dedicated defense forces and rescue units as they put themselves at risk for our sake. Heal the wounded in body and spirit, O God. Heal them and us. May we merit seeing the vision of Isaiah. Lo yisa goy el goy charev velo yilmedu od milchama. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation. They shall study war no more. And we say, Amen. Friends, as difficult as it was for us to have our minds totally focused on the celebration of Purim earlier this week, in light of the events, albeit so far very successful and victorious, but the events in the Middle East with Israel and the United States attacking Iran, that which it should be said. No, thank you. But thanks anyway. I've got a bunch of them up there. It needs to be said, at least in my view, the attacks that are and were very welcome and necessary. However, in the Jewish world, the festivity of Purim this year took on a further sense of solemnity and loss. One of the true leaders of world Jewry in scholarship, in Torah, in Menschlichkeit, in humanity, and I could go on with lots of different words. In the Hebrew is Rachamim, the Yiddish is Rachmanis, okay. In kindness. Rabbi Dr. Andrea Weiss passed away at age 60. I didn't know, Jeff mentioned what he saw in my notes up here. I didn't know her well. We had met a number of times. She was one of my daughter, our daughter Karen, many of you know Karen. She'll be with us again for High Holidays this year. She was one of Karen's instructors for her master's in Jewish religious education. She was the scholar in residence at the convention, not this year, but the previous year, of the Organization of Retired Reform Rabbis that I now serve as president. But last year we had met in San Diego, which was her hometown. And so she looked forward to being with us, as well as it was her home rabbi who was the outgoing president of the organization at the time. So she was there, and I had the opportunity of studying with her as well as did my colleagues. She succumbed to a quick battle with cancer and died on Purim at her home in Philadelphia, where she lived, but she would commute up to New York several days a week to teach at the rabbinic school. I wanted to share a tribute to her, because it's really a tribute to more than her. It's a tribute to those who, despite the pain and the tragedy, despite the challenges of which the story of Purim really is only symbolic, but despite all that life throws to us as Jews, and despite all that the world, the Jewish world especially, had thrown at women, women who chose to study and teach and lead, Andrea Weiss, certainly of beloved memory, certainly stood as a name and as a figure, as a role model, and as an inspiration to more than one generation. And not just in the Reform movement, truly in the world, Jewish, especially the women of the Jewish world. Some of you are familiar with this. You may have this in your own library. You may have used it in some class or another. She was the primary translator and editor. These are not my words, because I do not claim to have known her that well. But these are words that come from those who did. Firstly, my professional organization, the Central Conference of American Rabbis. In the wake of the tragic and untimely death of our teacher, our colleague, and our friend, Andrea Weiss was a prolific scholar whose life and learning were her students' greatest texts. Rabbi Dr. Weiss shaped a generation of Reform rabbis as professor of Bible at the Hebrew Union College. And then she would go on to assume a transformative and pioneering leadership role. Interjection. This is my giving you the background. The leadership of the Hebrew Union College over the last 20 years or so has suffered quite a few losses, sadly. A young scholar and leader with great charisma, and one with whom I had the privilege of working at our youth leadership institutes, Aaron Pankin, died, unfortunately, in a plane crash right before he could ordain an entirely new class of rabbis. After Aaron died, a year of transition that was led by Rabbi Dr. David Ellenson. And some of you, I'm sure, will remember. Some of you won't. That's okay. David Ellenson, who was a close personal friend of both myself and of Karen's. David was the subject of my Hineni sermon on Yom Kippur 2 years ago. David also died. But in the end, when he was interim president, he'd come back from his retirement to serve as president. The new president that was chosen was not a rabbi. For the first time in the history of the rabbinic school, of any rabbinic school in North America, certainly, Dr. Andrew Rayfeld, who was professor of political science at Washington University in St. Louis, became president of the Hebrew Union College. Well, that was cause for great joy. Those of us who knew Andrew, I know him well enough to call him Andy, because we play guitar together. But it raised an issue. Okay, the president, or the Rosh Yeshiva, you know the word Rosh, right? And the yeshiva is the academy, the rabbinic academy. The president of the academy is the one who is supposed to ordain rabbis. And only a rabbi can ordain rabbis. Dr. Rayfeld was not a rabbi. So by decision, unanimous decision of the faculty and the Board of Governors, Rabbi Dr. Andrea Weiss was chosen to be the first woman to ordain other men and women as rabbis. Certainly in the history of North America, we're not sure about all the seminaries and yeshivot in Eastern Europe, but we think so. But she took on that role. And until last year, with 1 year of exception that she was ill, she ordained 10 years worth of rabbis and cantors and Jewish leaders. So when we say that she assumed a transformative and pioneering leadership role, it might end there, but it didn't. Because post-COVID, and post many of the studies that some of you may have seen or that we've quoted, the number of admissions to rabbinic and cantorial schools, not only in North America, but around the world, has dwindled for many, many, many reasons. Dr. Rabbi Andrea Weiss was asked to chair a consortium from at least Hebrew Union College and Jewish Theological Seminary, the Reform and Conservative seminaries, on how can we respond? How can we make entrance and encourage admission to the rabbinic schools more popular, whatever, more available. And she then developed, she was the chair of the consortium that developed an entire new approach to the training of rabbis and cantors in both the Reform and Conservative movements as of about 5 years ago. So that's another example of her transformative work. She became provost, head of the seminary programs, and rabbinic school director. Rabbi Dr. Weiss guided rabbinic education into a new era with creativity and rigor. Reform rabbis will miss Rabbi Dr. Weiss's brilliance, compassion, wisdom, integrity, eagerness to learn, and so much more. She was a generous teacher, mentor, and friend who truly loved her students and was invested in their successes. The loss to our reform movement is enormous. The grief of those who were ordained by her and of her faculty and staff colleagues is tremendous. That's the official statement. Close friends of mine, Rabbi Jan Katsu, who Professor Emeritus of Education and Jewish Thought at the Rabbinic School, and his wife, Elaine, who was a Detroiter, where I knew her from originally. She's also a cantor. This was their comment. Andrea loved the Psalms, perhaps because they represent the most intimate, prayerful, personal, powerful, yet vulnerable aspects of human and divine life. I will long remember a call Andrea initiated to me just before Yom Kippur, when it is traditional to seek forgiveness for an unintentional hurt one may have caused. It's often a perfunctory, almost ceremonial act, but not this time, and not from this person. In some ways, Rabbi Andrea Weiss, PhD, provost, celebrated author, ordainer of rabbis and cantors, was larger than life. But in other ways, she was a rare, remarkable, reflective human being who could see people clearly and deeply. She will be missed. Her absence will be felt. And yet, for those of us who are blessed to know her, she will continue to be present in her words of wisdom and her acts of righteousness. Then, I could give you plenty, but another friend of mine in the rabbinate, a woman by the name of Rennie Altman, who also worked at the rabbinic school in New York. I experienced closely Andrea's brilliance, compassion, and vision. I learned so much from her, certainly from the opportunities I had to study with her, but more from witnessing her leadership in action. She led an incredible transformation of our college because she listened to and empowered students in taking on leadership roles to vision us anew. She was always seeking ways to strengthen the rabbinic program to better meet students' needs and interests. She set the following model for her two children, Rebecca and Elon. As each year she brought them to the opening, there was like an opening week, orientation, that's the word, right? An orientation for new students. So she would bring her two kids along. And she brought them with a craft project that they could make and sell to support an organization doing good work for Tikkun Olam. The boy always had his moment at the end to announce how much they raised. So, teacher, role model, mother. I was most sorry at the end of my tenure, Rennie wrote, that I would not have the opportunity to be part of the team working under her leadership. It was wonderful to see the changes she brought about. Such a bright light has been extinguished far too soon, but her essence will live on in countless ways. I only have like 5 or 6 pages of when I hit print on my computer, it said, do you want to print all 72 pages of tributes that were written before the funeral, which was this morning? Her memory truly is a blessing. She inspired so many. I was honored to have studied with her, to have known her, Kleomug's leg, as they say, on just with the tines of the fork. Just a little bit, just a little taste of the kind of person and teacher and rabbi that she was. I would conclude the following way. This is her translation of Psalm 121. We sang the words at the beginning, Esai-nai el-harim, okay? And she entitles it, A Song for Reaching Up. I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from the Eternal, the maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. See, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Eternal is your guardian. The Eternal is your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. The Eternal will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul. The Eternal will guard your going and coming, now and forever. Her name and her vision indeed will be a blessing. We continue with our prayers of Aleinu and Memorial Kaddish. That's 586 in the prayer book, in the brackets, the bottom of 586. Again, the ark will be open. I invite you to rise if you're comfortable. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateidu la'aretz bereishit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aretzo, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sachelkeinu ka'em, v'goraleinu k'chol ha'onam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachvim u'modim, b'fnei melech, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Noteh Shamayim v'Yosef Haaretz, Moshe Karim HaShamayim Ba'al, U'Shchinatu Zo, V'Kovei Meromim, Hu Eloheinu Elu, Emet Malkeinu V'Surato, Kakatu v'Torato, V'yadatayu v'hashivota elevadecha, Ki Adonai Elohim, v'shamayim v'al haaretz, v'mitachat einon. 591, V'ne'emar, V'ayadai, L'melech al kol haaretz, V'yomahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad. As a community, in memory and sanctity, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth. We think of our loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked. They died al Kiddush Hashem, in the sanctification of God's name. Victims of natural disasters, as well as innocent victims of senseless acts of hatred and terrorism and racism around the world. those who have given their lives in the service of the forces of decency and democracy, and as well, certainly, those whose lives have been lost in a time of battle and conflict. Those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. We remember them and we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We pause and honor the memories of those who have been so recently taken from us even during this past month or so, including Howard Brody, Carol Heller, and now Rabbi Dr. Andrea Weiss. We think of those who have gone to their eternal home during this past year. We honor the memories of Sarah Benish, Eldon Clark, Grace Farrar, Helene Feldman, Phil Fix, Ruth Gossman, Nancy Karsh, Mark Logan, Michael Lund, Darren Shapiro, Sabra Schechter, Alice Tannenbaum, Stuart Tobin, John Ryan Weston. We mourn as well Israeli men, women, children, hostages, and soldiers who have been killed in the terrorist attacks and battles in Israel, Lebanon, and Gaza, both since the time of October 7, 23, and now the latest conflict against Iran and Hezbollah, as well as thousands of innocent civilians and bystanders who have been in harm's way. And we express our grief and sadness at continuing gun violence in our own country that has led to so many lives being lost, especially among the young. We also remember those who died at this season in years past. We remember them at the time of their yahrzeit, the anniversary of their death. In this coming week, we will honor the memories of William Clendenin III, Harry Dansky, Hortense Feldman, Meyer Goldberg, Susan M. Kornfeld, Ernest Miller, Bernard Naiman, Bertha Nurnberg, Mel Roman, Denise Rutenberg, Esther Schron, Theodore Simon, Bessie Sirota, Susan Sterenberg, Anna Vishner, Jeanette Vishner and Morton Vishner, Max Weitzman, Dorothy Weiner, and Marty Workman. Are there others whose names anyone would wish to add?
Jack Atlas.
Bela Crow,
Peter Budden.
Simon and Jesse Jackson.
Zichronam Livracha, may their memories truly be for a blessing. Words of the Kaddish hallowed by centuries of faith on page 598. Our tradition is to rise in sympathy with those who mourn and recite these words, hallowing God's name together. Yich gadal, yich gadash, shirah, v'yalman yivrach yirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye chol v'yom echol, v'chaye chol beit Yisrael, ba'galam v'zman kariv v'yuramei, yehi shmei rama v'morach le'olam v'yomaya, yitvarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramah v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitadal shmei k'dusha v'richu, La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, Da'amiram v'yalma v'yimru amen, Yehi shlom rama min shmaya chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen, Oseh shalom v'yimrama, U'yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol b'nei Adam, v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring comfort to those amongst us who mourn, and may God, in answer to our prayers, bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all humanity. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. And before we conclude, I need to ask either Donna or Ricky, could you make sure that we have Kiddush? We have some, oh, it's up there, it's there? Just put it back there, that's fine.
Oh, I was.
Put it back there. If we didn't have it at the beginning, we'll do it back there. Okay, thanks. thanks to Donna and Ricky with helping with the Oneg Shabbat, to John Holleran, who was our shomer, kept keeping us safe. Bev welcomed us and lit our candles, appreciate that. And all of you who joined with us tonight, and again, bear with me, and I appreciate your understanding. 6:25 in the brackets. So you're not supposed to use the word the traditional melody, because different people have traditions, have different traditions, right? But the melody with which most of us are familiar, Adon Olam Hashem Allah, B'terem kol yitzir nira, V'nasa v'chetzoho, Azai melech shemo nikra, V'acharei kichlot hakol, Levado yom Torah, V'hu haya, V'hu hover, V'hu yiyeh v'tifara, V'hu echad v'ein sheni, Lehamshir lo leachbira, V'li reshit v'li tachlit, V'lo ha'oz v'ha'misra, V'hu eli v'chai goli, V'tzor chevli b'eit tzara, V'hu nisi umanos li, Menat kosi v'yom nekra, Yadu akid ruchli, V'eit ishan v'ayira, V'imruchi geriati, Adonai li v'lo ira. I skipped thanking Les over here with the technology. Okay. Thanks, Les. Okay. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Good Shabbos. Please join us for Kiddush.